What's up guys, SkyKevin here, and today we're going over my new strategy for building a base in Season 5. This is specifically a guide on what to build for PVE tiles, because you no longer need to worry about the tactical effectiveness of the build, and this time the strategy is solely focused on upkeep efficiency and overall space. So, let's get started. As I said in the intro, we're doing this on a PvE tile. I think everyone will want to build their main base on a tile like this. The fact that you don't have to worry about any enemy players attacking you means the upkeep is your primary concern. As long as there are resources in that maintenance chest, your base will remain on that tile in perpetuity. So, what's the plan? Well, the most important starting point is that we lay out our overall ground plan and be absolutely sure we keep it within the area of 100 meters squared. If you remember in my most recent upkeep video, the moment you extend past that area of foundations, your base becomes increasingly more costly to store your walkers and pay the upkeep fees. In this case, we're not using conventional foundations. We're actually using large hangar doors. These act essentially as the same thing as foundations, but the cost is reasonable enough that it allows a much larger expanded range. From these large walls, we can actually decide if we want to build gates or doorways to that hangar wall, but as you'll see, we have plenty of room for that stuff even with the largest tier walkers, even as more are released. My first suggestion is to map out the exact area of 5x5 wall tiles in a perfect square for your main walker storage hangar. Your maintenance chest should go up to about 95 meters squared. This is so that you can fit the largest walkers inside at the bottom without going over that area cap. You can compartmentalize this if you'd like, as well as add entry doorways on each of the tile pieces, but generally I think keeping it as open as possible for the big stuff or your daily driver walkers will be the best use of that space. If you recall in the last video, the overall base area doesn't go up when you make roof tiles or when you build upwards, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add on two features to the base. We can increase the height of the walls for the main hangar just for ease of access so that we can fit the big stuff in there, as well as extend a large ramp around the outside. When building this, I found that the best angle was to have an incline of 4 notches on the rotation, and the one thing you have to keep in mind is that it stays within the same angled orientation of the roof tiles. So as you build the ramp upwards, you have to wrap it around a full 180 degrees to the other side for each subsequent ramp. This ramp will be important as it's essentially our way of storing walkers on the highest levels of the base. It will be difficult to drive up, but you can essentially store everything you're not using for long term in the above compartments and drive it down to the ground whenever it becomes your next daily driver. I tested it all the way up to the toboggan walker, and I found that as long as you were careful, I had no problem driving up with just the 2 tile wide ramp. This design can be changed however you think is the easiest way to drive, and you can even put safety stops in along the way as well as expand the ramp out up to 4 tiles if you'd like. But at this point, remember that you can expand the base as tall as you want it to be, as long as you can keep up with the construction materials and daily cost. Since we're using the large hangar roofs and the amount of space with every tile is quite massive, really, as an upkeep cost, it's a lot more reasonable than using the smaller sand, wood, or hardwood tiles. Just in this example, where I utilized the full 5x5 tiles with 3 levels of maximum height storage, the upkeep cost was roughly only 50 rope, 180 fiber weave, 160 wood slabs, and 80 wood shafts per day. I would really just do the first 1 or 2 layers of this, and only decide to widen the paths and build further upward if I ended up needing that extra space. I think you could probably get away with a quarter of the tiles I used here to make it at a much more reasonable rate. When it comes time to build the base portion, you have a few options. I would suggest for ease of access, you make it an offshoot around the bottom of the ramp. The tiles need to be built off the foundation tiles from where you move upwards, so keep that in mind as your starting point. Plus, that way you'll have it low to the ground for easy loading and unloading, and you can even create a doorway through to the bottom access inside the hangar while still being able to build it upwards as you wrap around what is essentially your walker tower. You have to stay close to the foundations themselves, so make sure you keep the base in a linear and tight fashion to the wall. But as I've said, you can always sacrifice hangar space to build inside as well if you think that's necessary. Just remember that every tile you place will have an extra cost associated with the upkeep. So if you don't want to spend all day farming wood and fiber, make sure to go easy on the size with the things that you don't need. From there, you can create some pretty cool epic structures. I would suggest placing the base in a large open flat area to make it easier on your builders, either beside the trade station to easily post items and sell schematics, or near an oasis with constant resources to collect. You can build as high as you want, so use this as an option in the future once wingsuiting comes out as a jumping off point. There really isn't much more to this than that. Just build the tower upwards with new compartments every time you need to store a walker. Your main crafting and storage side of the base can take that same effect as long as you go up from there, and it's as simple as that. You don't really need to worry so much about the tactical benefits, just what functionally works best for you. I did this as a test on a private server with the free build option, so I know there's a little bit of functionality that you might have trouble with, but largely I wanted to show my proof of concept to everyone first, because honestly, it's way more space than I'll even need for a clan of 50 plus players. That being said, it's nice that you can start small with maybe half the size of what I've done here, and expand upwards from there anytime you need to. There's also probably some cool things you could do with angled doorways, maybe to make a drawbridge-like ramp. I'd love to hear your suggestions in the comments below. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.